Welcome, Jared, to Metallium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Arkaik, this new album, Labyrinth of the Hungry God, Ghost, and more things related to the metal world. Starting a detail that I'm searching for, it's about the name, because I found the name came from the Turkish word that means archaic in English, but at the same time, I found information that your name represents a prehistoric bacterium. So that's Google. That's Google showed me. So who came up with the band name at the beginning, and which is the correct meaning of the name for you? Perhaps something different that I can find on internet, because the ideas change with time.
Well, thanks, Javier, for having me. Yeah, so the name, it was originally from just the word archaic, that means like ancient, or like no longer in use, like an archaic language that is kind of forgotten into history. And so we wanted to we wanted to spell it in a way where, one, people wouldn't mess it up and spell it like Archaic, and something that was easy, and then it was symmetrical, so it was like just 6 letters. And then with the K's, we figured it would like make the name unique to us, and kind of just be the death metal band Archaic.
Okay. So when I hear for the first time Arcade was with Reflection with Dissonance in 2010. But after listening to all songs from that album many times, because I love that album, I remember surfing around the web and I found your first album, Existential Chaos from 2007, as your first album. So where the music of the band was more brutal, raw, and savage than the next album. So which are your memories for the first album? And with the last trends that revival all the stuff from the past, perhaps will you release these first albums with your new label, or you by yourself again? Because it's that album is hard to find on CD here, especially in Latin America, and for the fans, and me too.
Yeah, so the album Existential Chaos, it was our first attempt at making more than just like a demo, because we didn't call them EPs when we were first starting out. We were just like, we were trying to make a demo so we could send that demo in to a label and, get signed. So we weren't really trying to self-release anything. And then we found a deal local to our area where we were starting out in Southern California. There was a studio that had a package deal that was all inclusive and would print the CDs and give you 3 days. And then at the end of the 3 days, they would like literally print out the CDs and give them to you. So we're like, oh, that would be cool. Like we have, we were counting like how many songs do we have? We have like 8 or 9 songs or something like that. I forget how many are on that track, or that CD, but we recorded it in 3 days, and I actually played the drums on that
Okay.
album, because I was trying to be the drummer at the time. Like that was when I first started trying to take death metal drums seriously and practice a lot. And so I did the vocals and the drums on that album. And then it was our bass player at the time, Eric Cohen. He did bass, and then Chance, our guitar player. So it was just the 3 people that put that album together. And I think we got like 80 printed at the end of the weekend, or like 100 printed, and that was it. Like that was that CD. And then we didn't really like it. Like we wanted to be tighter, and we would listen to Unique Leader bands and be like, oh, like look, listen how tight those drums are. Like
Yeah.
we need to find like a guy who's way better than me at drums. So I kind of did drums I tried it out for a couple years, to because I figured we could find a vocalist easier than a drummer. Um, and it wasn't the case, actually. Like it was harder for us to find a vocalist in our area that did what we wanted to do. So I was already doing vocals and drums, and I started just on guitar. Like originally I didn't do vocals, I just did just guitar. and then we needed a vocalist. So I've been kind of filling all the different roles when we were first starting out, before, you know, Reflections Within Dissonance, before like Unique Leader and stuff. Then I found my spot as the vocalist, and we found, you know, we got some better drummers and stuff that were like more, you know, the origin fast and stuff, like, and then, yeah, so then we took some of the songs from that Existential Chaos and we revamped them, and we tried to make them better. And then those were a couple of those songs on that CD ended up on Reflections Within Dissonance. So you can listen to the old version of the song on Existential Chaos, and then you can listen to the new version, or the newer version, on Reflections.
Okay.
But it was around that time, 2008 or so, we started to get make better demos, and then we sent it into Unique Leader, and then we got some feedback, and we're like, okay, we need to tighten this up and this, but he likes it. You know, it was Eric Lindmark running the label, and so we you know, did what he said, and we tightened up. We found like a really tight drummer. That was like always the missing piece, is like the super tight drummer that's really fast and consistent. And then we sent in a demo and got a response back with like an offer for those first two albums, Reflections and then Metamorphignition. That was like part of the deal. It was like, make 2 albums and then we'll talk if we want to do more.
Okay. Nice to hear that. So, into the existential chaos, the hidden song in the elegy of Disillusioned was funny to hear at that time. So, who came with the idea to do the big box at the end of the album? And that shows perhaps another personal influence of yours in terms of voices. No, who knows?
Yeah. So there was the 3 of us. It was Chance, me, and Eric. You know, that weekend when we recorded that whole album, and we had some extra time. Oh, I think we were like beatboxing. We always beatbox and rap. Like, Chance is a good rapper. He like is good at freestyling. And he's really funny. So like he can like comedy freestyle rap. And then I would always like beatbox for him. We did this at like for all our friends and stuff, just to make them laugh. And we were doing it in the studio, and then I think that the engineer was like, go in the vocal room and do that again. And then we recorded it just for fun, and we listened back and we were cracking up. And then we're like, let's put it as like a secret song on the album. But yeah, it's like it was just something, this random thing that, like, Chance loves hip hop and he always has and stuff. So I would just back him up, you know, with some beats just to get the job done. But yeah, there's a little secret track. I totally forgot about that.
Okay. Well, existential chaos and then Reflections with Dissonance have brutal stuff on both. But the detail that shocked me in the past, it was when you decide to change from the brutal technical death metal that you achieve in those albums with more technical death metal stuff since Metamorphignition. So was this change intended, or was it just natural evolution, or was it something that you was already being predicted with your second album? Because with Reflection with Dissonance, you already had some technical elements with the clean effects on the guitar.
So you're talking about like the album after that, kind of the sound change?
Yes, the sound change.
Yeah. So that was due to Craig Peters joining the band. He joined after Reflections Within Dissonance. No, wait, no, he joined. He joined and was part of Reflection with Dissonance, but those were songs that were from previous, like for the last few years. They were like newer songs. And then when we put out Reflections Within Dissonance, we had to write all new songs. And then we wanted to, I don't know, it all kind of came naturally, but a lot of it had to do with Craig Peters' influence on the writing, is where the kind of the sound changed in from like the straightforward, brutal, technical California death metal kind of style to a little bit more progressive. That's probably how to explain it.
Okay, okay. Talking about this new album, Labyrinth of the Hungry Ghost. By the way, I love it. I love all albums, so I feel that the band grow up again with if we compare with Nemetia. So, and especially if I compare the guitar work from Greg Paulson to Alex Haddad, the work of the last one has more influence with the gen stuff and progressive stuff, and usually escape biggers than the previous work. So how was the composition process about this whole album?
Yeah, so Nemethia was mostly that, like almost all the music for that album was written by Greg Paulson. And then when we signed to the Artisan Era, that was when we kind of got this newer lineup together with Alex Haddad, Nathan Bigelow, and Chris Portugal too at the time. And we were just writing. We were there's like an archaic style because I'm like the original member. I've just kind of been keeping the band going. I just love it. I don't really want to start a new band just because of the different members. I'd rather just stick with what I'm doing. I already like it, you know.
Okay.
So uh so when we got some new members, you know, like they're writing a bunch of stuff. They write like a lot of different, you know, kind of stuff, but there's certain stuff that they write that falls within the archaic kind of category, like template that isn't too not archaic. It still to me is like what we've always kind of been going for, where it's like technical, brutal, groovy, and catchy. If
Mhm.
like it has kind of those elements. Um, but the album came together. It wasn't like one person that like all the songs sound different because like they're recorded at different times. Some was like before the pandemic, some was like during the pandemic, um, and some were collaboration, some were more Alex, some were more Chris. So the ratio of like who's writing on them, um, at least for the riffs, it kind of changed from song to song. But I was helping like compose it. So I would like write the basic drums like on the computer. I'd like take their riffs and like, okay, I like this riff. I think this one can go here, and then we could bring it back. This can be the verse. And I would help like kind of compose the song in a way that isn't just a riff salad, like they say, where it just goes everywhere and like doesn't really have a structure. um I'm kind of like that person who kind of tries to put a structure to the riffs, and because I want something that is going to make sense for the vocalist.
Okay.
So you know, an intro, a big, you know, a verse, like some kind of repeating chorus or something like that that just makes the song more of a actual song, than just like crazy just let's write a bunch of riffs and string them together. um
Mhm.
so yeah, what we did is like there's a couple songs, for instance, like there's one. Did you have a chance to listen to the whole album, the link
Yes,
that I
yes,
sent you?
yes, yes. Yeah, yeah.
There's this one called The Vertical Road, and it's like really slow in halftime, and it barely, I don't think it has like two blast beats in the whole song, so it's mostly groove like the entire way through.
Yeah, yeah.
um and that song came together with just me and Alex writing at my house when he would come from Phoenix, Arizona to visit. And he stayed for like a week, and we just, all right, let's come up with something. And we wrote like a drum beat, and then he kind of came up with a guitar tapping thing. And then we wrote the another song, the song Labyrinth of Hungry Ghosts, which is track 2. Me and Alex wrote that song in the same sort of writing session that week that when he came and stayed with me. So like
Okay.
those were 2 songs, and then like a couple were songs that Chris had been working on, that we kind of finished. They're like unfinished, and we kind of like finished them. And then what else? And then a couple were just Alex. So he kind of wrote all the riffs and most of the structure. I had like a little less to do with like the composition. So there's these different ratios of different members like just contributing, and then I'm kind of seeing the project through and helping with the song structure, and then I put the songs together in order that I think would make the most sense based on like the concept of the album. So to make it feel like an experience the whole way through from like beginning to end. And the whole concept is about starting at the very bottom of the underworld, which is where the labyrinth is, and the hungry ghosts. It comes from the Buddhist idea of the underworld. They have like layers of the underworld, and at the lowest level there's these hungry ghosts that are never satisfied. They got to eat, and they're still starving. It's that whole ego feeding the ego kind of thing, to the most extent. So it's kind of the idea of traveling, like journeying through the underworld and then making it up through to like the surface. That's kind of the experience, is kind of like starting at the bottom and then traveling up these layers of the underworld till you basically rise back out of the ground, of the grave or whatever, and like kind of have a rebirth sort of experience with it.
Great to know that a lot of information to this new album. And really, I'm with that. I mean, I'm a very nervous to receive my CD, my pre-order. I hope arrives soon. My pre-order with that
It
information.
should. Yeah, I'm pretty sure things are on track. So
Yeah, okay. So I've been listening to this Labyrinth and the Hungry Ghost many times, and I find it addictive. I find it addictive in many ways because I see that you have a lot of technical, degen, progressive groove parts, as you said, some more lower parts, everything. Well, but in every, this old concept fits perfectly with the concept of the entire discography of the band. So that's why. How different is this album for you in terms of the guttural stuff or the growings? Did you add any improvements with new techniques and methods compared to your previous work in the band, like in Nemetia or the Lucid Dawn? Or perhaps do you think I put something pick squeals like you did in the first album, or perhaps the next album you will put pick squeals?
yeah, it's funny because when I'm making the album, I'm kind of hearing the parts in my head before I even get to the lyrics or the vocals or anything. So I kind of hear like, oh, this would be like a choppy sort of faster vocal part, or this sounds like a more high scream kind of thing. I'm trying to just whatever the music calls for, and then whatever I can actually pull off. And I think the lower, I tried to go like do some more lower guttural stuff at certain times, and some even really high stuff. And um and I think it's just because I've done it more times now, like, and I recorded myself like just with this mic, like, in my closet, so I kind of could do it on my own time, which always helps. You're not under the pressure of the clock and the studio, and you got to get them done today or something like that. I kind
Okay.
of just took my time with it, but at the same time I waited until all the music was done, and then I started working on the well, I had some of the lyrics beforehand. I definitely had the concept. I'd fleshed out, like, that's the first thing I do is flesh out the concept and kind of the vibe, and what's the, if this were a movie, what it would be like, or kind of what's the arc of the story.
Okay.
Um, and then I get a deadline, and they're like, "All right, we need the vocals. It's your turn." And then I'm like, "Okay." I kick it into gear and I start writing and recording. Um, but I think that I've just gotten more comfortable and just better at recording myself. So I just tried to do my best, and that's what came out.
Nice to hear. So, since you are the last member of the band since 2004, how does it feel to carry to carry the band for almost 20 years? Because, and I think it's 20 years because the majority of the bands starts with two or 3 years before the official release, with other names, with other members. So I think it's 20 years now. So what has been the strongest obstacle that you have encountered throughout the Arkaik journey?
Yeah. So it seems like it's just me. And because it up until 2012, actually, it was Chance Strickland was playing guitar.
Okay.
So
Yes.
we're like best friends, and we have been since middle school. So it was just like this fun project that we started in high school. And then after high school, we're like, we like playing shows. Let's keep doing this. This is fun. And we started seeing like these crazy death metal bands, and we're like, oh, that would be crazy to do that kind of, music. And so it was always like me and him, like our project. And then it was from 2000, yeah, like you said, I don't know, probably 2002, 2003 when we started jamming together. 2004, I think we put a demo out. And then up until 2012, Chance was actually in the band, playing guitar. And then in 2012, he, went a different direction with his own music, into like electronic music. And but he's always been there with me, coming up with the ideas, lyrics. He still contributes with we co-write the lyrics.
Okay.
So so that's helped, having him as like the unofficial, sixth member of the band or whatever. Uh he just doesn't play an instrument, but he does, like, he contributes to like all the weird sounds and all the sound design stuff. So Chance still leaves his mark on every album. So it hasn't been just me, but for the touring since 2012, and like keeping the band rolling and signing new contracts and stuff, it has just been me. And yeah, like the hardest thing was I don't know, like probably just trying to keep the other members motivated and happy with like what they're doing and like the project. Because some people, like, they're kind of on and off. They might be for a couple years like, yes, this is all I want to do. And then when they realize it's not so glamorous, or it's not so, it's hard work for not a lot of pay, for just, you really, really got to love it to keep doing it. Um, some people are, maybe they want to have family or something like that. And so like I've gone through that with all these members. I'm, friends with like almost all of them, good friends. And uh that's kind of been the hard thing, is like, how do you keep them motivated, keep them looking into the future with me? Because I still want to do it, and it like I can get away with just being the original member since 2012. So like it's been fine as far as like us staying a band, or the Arkaik name being a band. um but yeah, like for a while we didn't have like a booking agent, so everybody wants to tour, but we're like, we didn't have a booking agent. And then we got one, but it was like wasn't that great. So we did these like crappy tours where nobody shows up, and then that's really like discouraging. And then you have like, you do one, like we get lucky and we were available to do a bigger tour, and then you do that one, and then you do a tour next, and that one wasn't as good as that one, so you feel like you're going in the wrong direction or something. um that kind of thing. So just the longevity for me, it's never been a problem. I'm just like, I'm just gonna do it anyways. Like, I love the death metal scene, and I like the energy of the shows, and I'm really like I enjoy it more than ever, so I'm gonna keep doing it. It's just like, you know, how long do people want to, you know, come with me and have like a good attitude, because you don't want to not have fun if you're in a band. Like, it's not about, it shouldn't be, you should, if you're not having fun, something's not right. Like,
Yeah,
you know, so
yeah,
that happens from time to time, which is tough. Also, you know, we don't make, like, especially with the 4 albums from Unique Leader, like, we didn't make any money from that. So nobody ever got paid for the work that they put for the recordings. Like, they put all this work into an album, but there's no check coming back. It's just like, oh, great album, you know, here's a tour maybe. But so that's hard for everybody, you know.
wow, yeah, that's right. That's right. So talking about, well, relating to this matter about the members, I see that Archive has a lot of changes into the lineup over the years. So do you think these changes affect to Archive's music, or do you consider like the gatekeeper, or perhaps do you consider like the gatekeeper of the Archaic sounds for all for eternity? Because I interview a lot of bands, like perhaps from the guitar player from the Blood Red Throne, and they told me, if I retire the band, the Blood Red Throne will die. If not, Blood Red Throne continue. So perhaps do you think like that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the case. If I retire from the band, or if I you know, call it quits, that's, you then, if then there's no original members anymore. So if there was an Archaic, it would be a cover band, you know. It wouldn't be the real band. And because the voice of the album and the voicing and the vocals and stuff remains consistent, that definitely helps. I think when you make a big change on the vocal level, like, from a different person or totally different styles, that can kind of steer things off course. But since it's just been me doing it, I think that helps the sound stay consistent. And then I'm kind of overseeing it, making sure we don't turn into a thrash metal band, or you know, or I don't know, like, sound not what people want. Like, people, it seems like what people want from us is brutal, technical, catchy, like you kind of said, addictive. Like, I'm glad you said that, because I that's what I want. Like, I want you to want to listen to it again,
Yeah,
like, because you and hear different things each time.
yes, yeah.
um but yeah, the band lives and dies on me. So, um that's the other thing too.
Okay, okay. Talking about the future events with the band and this new Labyrinth in the Hungry Ghost, which are the future plans to this new album, to the band, and more? Perhaps a Latin tour here. Who knows? No?
I would love to, man. Yeah, like, I haven't even thought about how, like, what, you know, other cities or countries you could tour down there. But um the future, I mean, we have a tour coming up, North America, or just, I guess, the United States, uh this summer. I can't announce it yet, but we will be touring again. We had a few tours get canceled. We were going to go to Europe for our first time, in March, or no, May of 2020, and then the pandemic, you know, canceled that. And then we had another one with Black Crown Initiate that got canceled. So we're hoping it this. I don't think it is. Like, I'm looking it, like, I don't think it's going to go back any worse. But we want to tour, you know, a decent amount. I think another thing is, as we get, like, older, it's like, we don't want to be touring constantly, because then it's just hard to have a life, and it's hard to really, like, enjoy. It's not super healthy. Like, and it also, I think we want to tour like a healthy amount and do good tours, like, if possible, do better tours. And yeah, make this first Labyrinth of Hungry Ghosts is like the first of 3 albums. So we're gonna do at least 2 more albums. That's what we've committed to for, like, this series, because Metamorph Ignition, Lucid Dawn, and Nemethea were kind of like this trilogy, and then this Labyrinth is like a new chapter in this next trilogy.
Great.
So we're gonna be making music. I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen. Um, but we want to tour. I would love to tour outside of the country, something like that. So
Great.
you never know.
Okay, okay. As I said in the first question, we will talk about other matters. And with this kind of matters, what do you think about the idea that when you get older, you don't listen to the music? And do you think the new music can influence you to do new things and change the direction of the music of the band that you make, perhaps? Because this thought I usually hear about from all the bands, from AXEP, a lot of bands that I interviewed in the past, they told me, I just hear the music from the 70s, 60s, or 80s, maximum 90s. I don't listen to music from 2000 to now. No?
Yeah, it's kind of true. I think that the older you get, the less new music you're like listening to, especially compared to like when you're in high school or something like that, and you're just digging up everything. Um, for me, I like to listen to a lot of different like I don't find myself wanting to listen to a whole lot of metal unless it's like a band that I really really like. Just because it's so much in my DNA, and my mind thinks about metal all the time and stuff, and like um I think that input output kind of thing happens where like if you can change the input to make it different, like because I don't want to like sound like every other tech death band or whatever, like I do kind of want to try to change it up a little bit. um so I think that some of that comes out in some of the ideas of the music. I think there is a influence there, but yeah, I still think that there's a ton of like good music. Like I think metal's doing great right now. Like I think
Yeah.
um that there's a bright future for metal. So
Yeah, it's a bright future for the metal, especially into the extreme metal. The extreme metal is very different than the old styles, heavy metal, power, thrash metal. The extreme metal now is, wow, experimental, progressive, technical. It's amazing the features that you got from a playlist from for I don't know, for where person that did that playlist. So talking about this, also we are living in times where most people focus on singles that complete albums into the digital platforms. So what else can bands do in order to promote the listening of all complete albums instead of just singles or do playlist?
yeah, I mean, it's definitely changing. Like the way people consume music is changing. And they're just listening to Spotify, or they're listening on their phone, so they can kind of listen one song at a time. I think if you're a younger band or you're an earlier band, there's not a big need to put out full albums because people aren't wanting it yet. You haven't like established yourself yet for people for there a big need for a full album when you can break it up into singles and release them steadily and have more like consistency and momentum from it. Um, so I think it's cool, like if bands try different things and like, you know, um, change it up, but I don't think there's any more rules to it, or like the rules are going away. I do think that if you are gonna do an album, that you need to just do as much as you can promoting it, which we really tried to plan that out a lot better for this. So we had like the first single came out January 4th, and then the next one came out in February, and then we have a third one coming out early March. And so we've got music videos with them, and like a lyric video, and then we've got playthroughs. So we tried to create a lot of content so we could remind people, hey, like this album's coming out. um and also, the Artisan Era has a big collectors kind of fan base for vinyl. So that's the other, cool thing. Like once you do have the demand, or maybe you release a bunch of songs as singles, you can put them together on a cool vinyl and like sell that as a whole album or something.
Mm,
But yeah, I think that for metal bands like us, there is like I said, if you're somewhat established or you've done albums in the past and you've kind of built a fan base, then releasing an album's cool. But just like, do a few singles to get people aware of it, um, and then try to make it like, I don't know, like we tried to make it kind of flow together, so it's kind of a listening experience.
mm. Okay, okay. Well, we're very, very close to end this interview, and and one question that I forgot to ask you is about the transitions with Unique Leader to the Artisan Era. So, how was the transition with the first label to the new one? How was the treatment with the new label? Everything.
Yeah, it's really different because Unique Leader was a one man kind of show for a long time, and Eric did amazing things for the genre and put it out to the world before there was Spotify and all that kind of stuff. So he deserves credit for like Deeds of Flesh and bringing the tech death to the entire world, Spawn of Possession, Severed
Yeah.
Savior, all those bands. Like he found those bands and he kind of gave a platform for them. um and we also got like a lot of really cool tours. We toured with Cannibal Corpse because of Eric, and Unique Leader, Psychroptic, Black Dahlia Murder, all of that, so in a lot of ways it was good for us at the time. But then the I feel like the label, Unique Leader, was kind of going in a different direction that we wanted to stay in. Like we wanted to keep that sound, um and I thought about doing it independently for a while because you can, and I was like, well, maybe this would be more helpful for the band to kind of bring some revenue back if 80% of it isn't going to the label. um but then after really really thinking about it and seeing all the great stuff the Artisan Era is doing, and actually knowing them like as friends, like there's the Inferi guys, Malcolm and Mike. It's both of those guys. They work really hard. All they do is run that label and their own bands and stuff, and they do a really good job. So I was like, well, I think it'll be better. They've already done the whole album release thing, and they've kind of built a following for the Artisan Era, and that would be a beneficial kind of partnership for the band to kind of keep releasing albums on a label, but one that fits. I think it's just a good fit for us. And they're also like, I have a good personal relationship with them. Like, so the communication is better. The planning, they helped us with our music videos and lyric video. Like they really helped us out a lot. So I think it was a big difference as far as like that. But for me, I was just like a lot more ready to kind of partner and not like expect the label to do anything. So when we met like both ways, like how can we make the most out of this? They were there, to help, and it's been really really good.
Mm.
Very
Okay.
happy.
Okay. So, well, Jared, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one as I did, and thank you very much for your time. The new album is awesome. I hear a lot of times. So I hope someday I will see you live or on a Latin tour here. Who knows? Or someday in US. Any last words that you want to add to your Latin American fans and Metallium readers?
Yeah, well, just thanks for having me. I enjoyed your questions. Liked going to all the existential chaos all the way up to now. You did your research, you've been listening to the band for a long time, so appreciate that. And if you know anybody down in Latin America or whatever, like that can bring us down, or anybody who does tours, let me know, because I think that it's possible, and it would be awesome. So I hope we can get down there for a tour sometime, and then I hope everybody likes the new album. Hope you listen to it, give it a spin, pick it up if you feel the need, and thanks for the interview.